I've seen a lot of people jump into using Photoshop and then get very excited about their new cameras and start taking mass amounts of images, but not thoroughly thinking through their storage system or organization. I use Bridge to organize and actually even import and name my images as they're coming in. So if I choose File, Browse in Bridge, Bridge will launch and I have some images that I want to clean up. We'll imagine they haven't been named as they were imported. When Bridge launches, I'm going to maximize or fill my screen. And I have my own workspace called Kelly, which has preview, metadata, and keywords all down here. So the 5 most commonly used panels are in one spot. And it also has folders forward so I could see exactly where I'm working. So if I hit the Kelly workspace, now I get the Bridge I'm comfortable with. This folder has some appropriately named files and some images that were imported, and I didn't attach metadata or name them when they were coming in. I just copied them from the camera card. This series was taken in Columbia, California, a gold mining town. So I'm going to select the first one, shift-click the last one, and I'll use Tools, Batch Rename to change the text on the image to, let's just call it Cowgirl. I could name this Columbia, California, but I might want to put that in the metadata. Metadata, extra data about the file stored in the file, is also searchable. But this is a little shot of a cowgirl with a holster and little fake guns, so that's more meaningful to me. And a lot of times I'm looking for an image. I'll just go to my operating system and do a find, and then type in the name I think I gave it. You can search in Bridge, but that's just my go-to way to find an image, because I do name my files. So once I named it Cowgirl, I don't want them all to have the same name, so I'll choose Sequence Number. And there's only 4 files, so I'll do 2 digits, but if there was more than 100, I would do 3. And I have been at some client sites where they have a server that has image tracking and stores the original file name and copyright information and usage information, so sometimes it's helpful to preserve the current file name if it's categorized. I don't ever really use this, so you can add other fields. I could attach the date and time, but that information is in the metadata, and it starts to get confusing for me to read. I don't like to see all those numbers and remember that that's the date and time, or the month, day, and year. So I'll hit this minus. I'll hit rename, and it's as if you went to the operating system and individually renamed all those files. I also want to file this away, and I might have a series of these where some are cowgirl shots, some are just the town. So in Bridge, I can choose File, New Folder. It goes in the folder I'm on. It's ready to be renamed. And there, I might name it Columbia, California, because that might be something else that I'd search by. I'll click the first cowgirl shot, shift-click the last one, and drag them in to the folder to organize. This next series is a photo walk that I did for my Adobe user group. So I'll click the first one, shift-click the last one, and I'll go to Tools, Batch Rename, and it was the Golden Gate Bridge. And I could add Photo Walk in there, and you'll notice I hit Tab without telling you what I was doing. I'm so used to the fact that if I renamed 4 files, it starts at 5. I always type the number 1. Photographers doing a mass amount of photos might have 3 or 4 or even 5 camera cards. They just keep swapping in cards instead of changing film, so it's great that it remembers that number. But I'll hit rename again. I'll make another new folder and name it the way I like, Golden Gate Bridge, and then I'll pop them in there. I'll click the first one, shift-click the last one, file them away. So if you look at my hard drive, I actually throw almost every image that I've shot into a screensaver folder, and I will actually have that tile in my screensaver, but they're organized by month and date if it wasn't an event, or by the event name, a wedding, a birthday party, Halloween, etc. So I always name them when they're imported or copied. Now, there may be random ones you have that you've imported. For example, this shot of the kids hugging, I'm just going to call that hug. And since I do a lot of web graphics, I'm going to change the extension to lowercase. Batch Rename could do that for you as well. When I press Return or Enter, it should resort by file name. The default sorting is View Sort by File Name. And then this one is turtles. And when I press return, that changed its alphabetic order. And there are a few others that you can go through and rename. This one is Klamath Falls, Oregon. But outside of just renaming and organizing, what has happened here in Bridge has happened to my hard drive. If I look inside my lesson files folder and inside lesson 3, there's a Golden Gate Bridge that I just created. There's a Columbia, California. If I come back to Bridge and decide to rename one of these images, instead of Stickman, this is actually an Illustrator file, I'll name it Stick Figure. Press return or enter, it has renamed it on my operating system. So nothing really needs to be moved into Bridge, loaded into Bridge, or copied into Bridge. It simply is a replacement for your operating system. And it doesn't just report information on images. It reports information on other Creative Suite or Creative Cloud files. So if I look at this Illustrator file and check out the metadata and scroll down, I could see what colors are used. CMYK, all 4 of the process colors are used. If I look at an image format, I get date created, date modified, width and height up at the top. Here's another Illustrator file, a .ai. I'll scroll down. This one only uses cyan and black, so there's no other colors. And in the preview area, I can get a preview of the 2 pages, the front and the back. PDFs will also preview if they're not secured. This graphics info PDF that I created has security in it. So even though it's 15 pages, the preview won't generate because it's protected. So this has been a tour of using Bridge for all kinds of files, but fundamentally I want you to get in the habit of naming your images as they come in or after they're copied and putting them in folders where you could find them.